fell in love with Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, to be honest. I was like, wow, man, if you have those qualities, when they go to this place and they're doing Surya Namaskars, Pani de rahe hunde hai Pandit, and then he starts giving Pani the opposite side, and the Pandits are like, are you making fun of us? I'm just giving Pani to like my khet are like ਥੋੜੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਦੂਰ ਹੈਗੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਸੂਰਜ ਨੂੰ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਰਿਹਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਖੇਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਹੀ ਜਾਊਗਾ not being rude not being saying ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗਲਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ he taught them with an example. I feel Sangat is not limited to Guru Kar. If I'm sitting in my backyard and I have few friends over who are jo mere naal Guru di gal kar rahe ne, that's my Sangat. We've made these perceptions in our mind that if our new generation see things from this perspective, be able to understand more, because it's the values that matters. It's not how you look like.
Sat Shri Akal, Gursimran. Thank you so much for coming on the platform. How are you doing today? I'm making you wake up early in the morning, right? On Saturdays.
Saturdays, yes. Yeah, but it's not that bad. It's 10 a.m. So gotta do breakfast before that. So I'm doing really good. And yeah, I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Absolutely, we're gonna talk everything about Sikhi, everything about Gurmat, and I believe it's needed, especially for youngsters. And I feel like we're getting away from Sikhi. We generally don't know much about it. We do know that okay, part karna, rasa da part karna, jabbi sab da part karna, but we don't know the essence. So let's just start from what is Sikhi.
Again, it's a very subjective definition that everybody has of Sikhi. And I think I'd like to, this Panth, Sikhi, religion, faith, however you want to describe it, because everybody describes it in a very different way. It started from Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, and I just believe the basic principles that he believed in is something that we lack in today's time, which is Naam Japna, Vanshakna, Kirt Karna. And it has a very deeper meaning than what we really understand from just the wordings. Naam Japna is not just going to Guru Kar and doing a part. Kirat Karna is not just going to your work. Everybody has to work for their earning. People are doing that. Vanshakna, I don't think a lot of us are doing anyways. Like to share our time, share our knowledge, share what we earn with other people is what I believe is the essence of Vanshakna. So I think we've moved so far away from the basics of Sikhism. We're so much into how we look like, what Gurukar we go to, how often do we go to, how many Kirtan Samagams we're attending, how much Sangat we are doing. I mean, just from a very materialistic point of view, I'd say.
How important is it to be involved in Sangat in Sikhism? Like, how is it different than just doing part at your home rather than just being in the Sangat?
I think everything is energy. And I believe Sangat can be done at home if you have that energy in your place. And most of the times we don't have that. Nowadays, we're so much in rush all the time, because when you're in a household, there are five different people living in there, and there are five different opinions, and there could be clashes, and there could not be that positive energy flowing all through the day or through every time. So Sangat in Sikhism is so important, saying that if you're going to Gurukar, and I feel Sangat doesn't is not limited to Gurukar. If I'm sitting in my backyard and I have few friends over who are talking to me about Sikhism, ਜੋ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, that's my Sangat right there. If I'm talking to you, we are discussing Sikhism, we're discussing the teachings of our Guru, that's Sangat for me. That's 1 hour of Sangat, 15 minutes of Sangat for me. So I think because we've made these perceptions in our mind that, this is what Sangat is, that going to Guru Kar. I'm not saying that it's not right. It is right in every form. You should, because you know how you say that it starts at home. But when you go to Gurukar, that's our home. That's our place for worship. That's somewhere where we meet like minded people. we should go to Gurukar. We should do the Sangat, necessary Sangat. And by Sangat, I mean discuss Waheguru, discuss our Sikhi, what it means for us. Not just listen to the Kirtan and come back. Not just go to the Gurukar, listen to the Kirtan, have langar and come. That's not Sangat for me. I personally believe that here, we live Monday to Saturday, Monday to Friday, we're working. Sundays are the only days we go to Gurukar. And it has become such a routine that sometimes even I know I go to Gurukar every Sunday. I do Kirtan every Sunday. I listen to Kirtan every Sunday. But that sometimes feels like it's a routine that I'm following. It's not something that I'm feeling very fulfilled. Not every Sunday I go to Gurukar, I wouldn't feel fulfilled, you know. So there are days that I want to sit at home, call few friends, do a shabad, talk about Sikhism. Just, that I feel that is Sangat for me. And that's if our new generation, the generation that we are in, and the upcoming generation, if they see things from this perspective, that it can be done anywhere, that it's not restricted to a holy place, I think we'll be able to understand more about Sikhi and to indulge ourselves more into that environment. It doesn't matter how I look. It doesn't matter, like, if I'm Amritdhari or not an Amritdhari.
And also, I believe we forget the basic principles of Sikhi that Guru Nanak told us. Like you've said, Amrit Chakna, Vand Karna, Seva Karni. Sorry, Kirit Karna.
Mhm.
Sorry, let me
Naam
say that
japna,
one more time.
vand
Naam
chakna,
Japna.
kirit karna. The order
So,
is, yeah.
and I think we actually forget the basic principles of Sikhi, like you said, and we go into the path of what defines as a true Sikh,
Yeah.
which Guru Nanak didn't actually told us about that. He just said that, okay, kam vadiya karo apna, lokan di madad karo, the naam japo. That's it. If you're a good human, that's all it matters.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਧਾਰੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵਾਲ ਕੱਟਦੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ.
Yeah. I think again the basic of how being human is being a Sikh is something that we've lost. Um, Identifying another person as a Sikh or not is something I can't do that. I don't have that capacity. Who am I? Firstly, who am I to identify you as a Sikh? You know, just because the way you look, I have seen so many people, I would say, and I feel very bad when, in groups we talk about how only this way of looking is being Sikh. You know, I've got so many messages of girls asking me, "Oh, I wanted to do Amrit, but these are the things that I cannot leave." Or, like, I don't know, I'm not an Amritdhari, but am I a Sikh? Am I close to Guru? Am I ever gonna be on that path? Because the whole idea of Sikhism is how you look nowadays. The whole idea is how you look like it defines you as a Sikh, but being a Sikh, being an Amritari, if you're judging a non-Amritari or somebody who cuts their hair, you're no more a Sikh than they are, because it's the values that matters. It's not how you look like. And it's very sad that people judge you on that basis. People define you just because of the way you look. I have seen people who are doesn't look like a Sikh. I would think like, oh, this is a Mexican person going around there, but they have such good values, such great love for our gurus, such great love for this path, and I feel that's Sikhi, and I get inspired
I,
from them. You know.
I kid you not, like ever since I started Sikh podcast, a lot of people, comment on my post saying that, oh, okay, you're doing a podcast about Sikhi, about religion, and while you're doing the podcast, you don't have chunni on your face. I'm
I get
like,
all the time. I even have a dastar, but they still want a chunni. So people are they just want everything. I think they come from a place of just judging you. They don't know what they are doing. They have, and mostly people who do that are ignorance. They have no knowledge of Sikhism. They have no knowledge of how our panth came from, where it came from, what it is now. They have no knowledge of our guru's teachings. They are just, because the pictures that we portrayed, that's what they look into. The pictures that the artists who never saw our gurus probably drew, or that's what is in their mind, that's set in their mind, and they want you to look like that. And especially when you come in a place of power, and by power I mean a space of influence, where you are, when they know, like thousands of people are watching you, so they feel like, oh, you hold a responsibility to portray Sikhi in a way. I get that a lot. I would say it's not easy, because they kind of, like, you're a Sikh, you're an Amritari, you do Kirtan. So these are the only things that you're supposed to do. You cannot sing a song. You cannot do any other thing that is very stereotypical of Sikhs to do. Just do Kirtan part, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to wear dresses. You're not supposed to wear jeans, go out, have fun with your friends. You're not supposed to do that. And it's very sad. And I think that is what hinders, that is the gap between us being Sikhs and thinking that we are Sikhs. If you're not following the values, if you're not getting the basic thing that jine jo karna, let them be, and prem to vad ke, there's nothing that can attract other person. If you're being too dade, if you're being too strict, too restrictive, kids are not going to come to you. They're not going to come to Guru Kar. They're not going to want to learn. If you open your arms and be like, okay, I don't care if you cut your hair or not. I don't care if you're an Amritdhari or not. But if you want to learn about Sikhism, this is a safe space. Come and we learn together. And it's on to them if they want to pursue that path in a religious way or not. Faith is very different than religion. I have faith in Sikhism, or I'm following Sikhism religiously, are two different things. I could not be religious, but I could be very faithful. I could believe in Maharaj so much, and an Amritdhari person, could not probably, you know. And I've seen those people.
विश्वास तो वड्डी कोई चीज नहीं.
कोई चीज नहीं है. It's all about that. Like, if you feel that there is a presence of God in your life through your gurus, through anything, whatever you feel, then you are really living your life the way Maharaj wanted to. What is Sikhism? Sikhism, we made it out to be a religion, but it was supposed to be the way of living life. It's teaching you how to live. That is why it is not, we have Bani not just from the gurus, we have Bani from Pagats who were not Sikh, who were Hindus, who were Muslims. Why does that Bani, why do we have that compilation? If they wanted it to be just Sikhi, just one religion, they could not have that Bani, It could have just been our gurus. That, oh, just follow that. But it's knowledge. Sikhi is knowledge, and it doesn't matter where it is coming from. Nowadays, if I, being a Sikh, Amritdhari Sikh, if I go to a mosque, people are gonna ban me. They're gonna give me a panth nikala, like, oh, you don't exist now. Why did you go to a mosque? Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj went everywhere. In his Udasiya, he went to Makkah, where in today's times, no non-Muslim can go. But he went. In his times, he went there. Just in search of knowledge, and not, I would not say in search of knowledge, but to spread knowledge instead, to spread the word of the Lord. And it can be done anywhere. Our history is based in India, but now that we've come into these countries, into these places where Sikhs were not even known earlier, it we carry a responsibility to portray that in a way that we're not just known a very like minority, but just a living, just a way of life, how people should live their lives is what our guru teaches us. We just are too confided into like apna Guru Granth Sahib ji ਸਾਡੇ ਹੈ ਬਚਾ ਲਓ, like it's our knowledge, we don't want to share it with other people. ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਬੰਦਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਆਂਦਾ ਹੈ, we we feel so nice, or they're coming. If a Muslim person is coming to our guru ghar, we feel like we welcome them. But if one of yours goes to one of their temples, you're not okay with it. That's the kind of hypocrisy that I think we live in, and something that we need to remove if we want our generation or the upcoming generation to know about our gurus, to know about our history, and to know about just how beautiful it is to be a Sikh, how beautiful it is to be born in a Sikh family. It is a privilege. I'd say it is a privilege, because I'm not saying any other dharam is bad, you know, but every religion had its own teachings, right? And we are so similar in so many ways. I have a Muslim friend. When she talks to me, she's like, "Oh, these are the things that are similar." I mean, she's from here. She doesn't know anything about Sikhi, and she just thought, "Oh, are we related in any way?" Because the teachings are so similar sometimes. I'm like, probably, because it's all God's word. It's just different people setting different
Mm,
religions and doing.
exactly. Guru Nanak Dev Ji keh bhi gaye ne, ik onkar.
Yeah,
Like there's one God but different faces.
yeah. मानस की जात सब है एक है पहचानो. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj said that.
Is that why you were connected to Sikhi a lot? Because you were in Sikh school?
No, I was in Sikh. I was in Sikh school after I got connected to Sikhi. I think for me it was my parents, especially my mom. From a very young age, she took me to Gurdwara Sahib and पाठ करांदे सी सवेरे नवांदे नवांदे. She used to like Japji Sahib मैनू याद कराना. Dad used to do that, and then she used to have Sakhi books with her. And I am very fond of stories since childhood. Like, I like listening to stories. If something is coming to me in a story form, I take it, rather than you giving a lecture about something. If it's in a story form, I'm like, oh, that's nice. So I liked doing that. I liked listening to, oh, like, ਐਵੇਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ Guru Nanak Dev Ji. I fell in love with Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, to be honest. I was like, wow, man. When I grew up, like, I was like, I mean, when you're a kid, you see them as guru, but I think when I grew up, I saw them as, as a person, as a human. It's like, wow, if you have those qualities, like, what a life, you know? Like, those Sakis, you must have heard, like, how when they go to this place and they're doing Surya Namaskars, they're pani de rahe hunde hai pandit, and then he starts giving pani the opposite side. And the Pandits are like, "Are you making fun of us? We're giving pani to Suraj, right? Surya Devta." Then Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj is like, "No, I'm not making fun of you. I'm just giving pani to, like, there's my khet are like ਥੋੜੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਦੂਰ ਹੈਗੇ, ਥੋੜੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਮਾਈਲਸ ਦੂਰ ਹੈਗੇ. ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਸੂਰਜ ਨੂੰ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਰਿਹਾ, ਮੇਰਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਖੇਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਹੀ ਜਾਊਗਾ." And just the way, how logically and how simply, not being rude, not being saying ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗਲਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਸੂਰਜ ਦੇਵਤੇ ਨੂੰ ਪਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਕੇ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੇਵਕੂਫ ਹੋ. It was never that. He taught them with an example. He taught everybody, like, in a way, in a fun teaching way, that listen, look at your logic. What are you doing? You know? All these sakyas used to make me feel like, wow, this is amazing. This man is amazing. Like, how easily he's making everybody understand. And also the fact that, we have, I mean, in Bani, but also in Sakis, how you listen, koi aakhe putna koi betala. Like, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, in those times, I'm sure people like us would have been there, who like, oh, who is this person, what is he doing, you know and like, they used to call names out to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. A lot of people didn't used to like him, but how he kept his thing was, I'm not here to please you. I'm here probably because, like, I'm getting the word, I'm getting that knowledge, and I want to spread that knowledge. And I think all these things, when I listened in my childhood, I kind of wanted to take all of that from our gurus. I wanted to take those, what do you call, qualities. Like, okay, people are going to talk shit about you. Let's face it, that's what.
Yeah.
Who am I? People talk bad
To
to
ju-
Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Who am I in front of him? I don't have as many as qualities as them ever. I couldn't even think about it. So why should I have to be concerned about what people are saying about me? If people can talk bad about Guru Nanak Dev Ji, I am nobody to be even talked about. So I think those things are the things that you learn from Sikhi. Those are the things that you learn. Those are the qualities that our Guru Maharaj. That's why it's Gurbani is written in a way that teaches you कि एਵੇਂ life च करना है ਤੁਸੀਂ,
So, how should we get connected to Sikhi so that our kids get to learn Sikhism? For example, like if we don't even know how to do Japji Sahib, we don't even know how to do Red Sahib. Like, how are we gonna instill Sikhi in our kids? How are we gonna teach them Japji Sahib ki hai, Red Sahib ki hai?
I think again it's here where Sangat comes in part. Sangat comes in picture is this. If I am doing Sangat today because my mom used to take me, I didn't know anything about Gurukar. My mom is doing it because when she was unmarried, she used to go with her mother or her uncles who used to attend samagams. So just that's the first step, you know, that you are supposed to go to Gurukar. And because when you're a kid, you can't understand these complex things of how, because your mind doesn't work like that. You don't have a critical thinking when you're a kid. You just follow what your parents are doing, what you see around in your household. Even when a kid is growing up, if you tell them, don't do this, they're not gonna understand it. They don't have that mindset that time. They're gonna do what you are doing. If you're on your phone, they're gonna be on your phone. So it's how I think I feel that's very important. I myself feel that way, that if I want to have kids someday, I want to be able to have a lifestyle that I want them to have. So to get up in the morning, that's what my mom used to be like, कि सवेरे उठ के, पहले, because I used to live with my grandparents, सारे नो सत श्री अकाल बुलानी है, and then जाके थल्ले जाके सत श्री अकाल बुलानी है, then on the time जपजी साहब करके जाना है. So we always had that from childhood, that बिना जपजी साहब करे करो बाहर नहीं जाना. And it got instilled, probably ਉਹ ਛੋਟੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ thought बहुत differently अंदर ਜਾਂਦਾ है. We feel probably, I don't know, scary, like it used to happen to me sometimes. एक बार मेरा कड़ा घर रह गया ਸੀ, and I felt like, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to do well in my unit test or something because मैं कड़ा नहीं पाया, because it had emotional value attached, because this is a symbol of my guru, and I used to feel like, oh, he's not with me. Because when you're a kid, you don't think that God is everywhere. You're just connected to them by certain things. So doing Japji Sahib, I we used to go to this camp, and Mata Baljit Kaur Ji Khalsa, she used to say that if you're doing part, that's how she taught the kids, like it's like an umbrella. It's gonna rain outside. It might not. But if you've done your part, that's like your umbrella that's gonna protect you from the rain whenever or if it happens. So the power that you get from Bani, because Gurbani is powerful. When we listen to Kirtan, there's 10% of who is singing, and there's 90% of what is being said in that shabad. The Gurbani has power. you know so I think, even though when you're a kid you're not understanding the meaning of Japji Sahib or the meaning of Rehras Sahib, but to instill it into your routine, that's what I did. I did not understand Japji Sahib when I was 4 year old, but I think by the time I was 8, I knew whole Japji Sahib, because my mom used to make me like Navande Navande. She used to be like, "Acha, one pauri kar li, manne di pauriyan, sunne di pauriyan." She used to make me like literally sit and like, matlab, how
Like,
you say, like you have to read and like kind of put it in your head like, oh, ide baad ye aanda hai, ide baad ye aanda hai, But starting to learn what it means came when I
means
was probably a teenager. and that came from within, because you know how if you put a seed in the soil, it's going to become a plant someday, but that seed has to be sown when it's young. If I'm when you're a kid, having firstly a lifestyle for us, I think again sakhis are a great way. Reading to them, how usually parents read to their kids while they're when they're going to sleep. So reading to them about sakhis, about gurus, so that they, even if they don't remember anything, it is just about them at a very tender young age, things going into their minds that, oh, this is Guru Nanak. Like a picture should be this memory, not what it looks like.
I know when we were young, like teenagers, my grandma used to do Sukhasan and Prakash, right? Um, they, my parents used to go to work, and my mom used to do sometimes when she had time. She used to do Prakash, and my dad used to do Prakash. And when my grandmother went back to India, and they were like, okay, there's like my dad and my mom, but they both like used to work a lot, and then they're like, okay, ਘਰੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਇਹਦਾ ਬੇਦ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਰਾਈਟ ਸੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਸਿਸਟਰ ਨੂੰ ਚਰਨੀ ਲਗਾਇਆ
Hmm.
Guru Granth Sahib Ji de. And then slowly we learned how to do Sukhasan, how to do Prakash. Even though I know how to do read in Guru Granth Sahib, but ਮੈਨੂੰ meaning ਨਹੀਂ ਸਮਝ ਲੱਗਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ. Still don't know the full meaning of Guru Granth Sahib,
Of course.
but ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ we used to go to like ਇੰਡੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਲਾਸਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਜਪਜੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਪਾਠ ਕਰਨਾ ਰਹਿਰਾਸ ਦਾ ਪਾਠ ਕਰਨਾ ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਪਾਠ ਕਰਨਾ ਤੇ ਹੌਲੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਵੀ ਸਿੱਖਣੀ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਗੁਟਕੇ ਤੋਂ ਸਭ ਕੁਛ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਸੋ ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਯੂ ਰਾਈਟ once you learn from childhood ਉਹ ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ the basics are there and then your kid gonna go and then live life as a Sikh,
Yeah.
you know.
I think with my childhood, it was always like my both of my parents, they never thought ki any ki banna vade okay, you know. Their focus was never, it's me and my younger sister, right? Sade like apa do kudiyan sigiyan. And they never had, you know how usually parents, Indian parents have that, oh, you're gonna become a doctor, or you're gonna become this. I think my parents, their focus was, and my mom used to say that कि कुछ भी करो तुसी लाइफ च, but you have to be a good human first. That's something that I pray for you, that's something that I do ardas for you, you know. In my ardas, my mom never asked me ਮੇਰੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦਾ exam pass ਹੋ ਜੇ ਜਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ job ਮਿਲ ਜੇ. She never did that. She always used to be like, ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੱਚੇ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਆ, you gotta take care of them, you know. That surrender, I feel, is, you know, something that we can't do now, something we don't do now. We are so much, we
That
feel
comes
like
with faith,
it comes with
you know.
faith.
You
Now
Yeah.
nowadays we're like, we know, because I think again with knowledge comes power, but we just don't know how to use it, or we don't know how much power is in our hands, and how everything is still is not in our hands, you know. Like we have the power to do something, to put an effort, but the outcome of it is not dependent on us. It's there, you know. And ਜੇ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਨਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ, ਜਿੰਨਾ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਐਫਰਟ ਪਾ ਲਓ. I was, when I was a teenager, I was always torn between these things. मैं हर बारी confused हूँ, like जे बाबा जी नहीं करना है सारा कुछ, then why do I have to make an effort? Like, you know, if it's all written, I always had that thought process. Like, if it's all written, then why do I have to do anything again? Please, can you explain me? But then now, you know, it has come to a place where I'm kind of now balancing it out. Like, you know, again, it comes with time. But if you are brought up in a way that your parents tell you that there is a bigger person working for you, there's a bigger picture, bigger universe that is working for you, at least you have that faith. You know, that's very important. And I've seen people who don't have faith in anything, and it gets hopeless after a time,
Hmm.
because किन्ना तुसी अपने आप तो कर लोगे सारा कुछ. It's just good to know that there is somebody who's taking care of you, you know, even though you have to do a lot of effort in this worldly world. But it's just, you have that back, that, Guru Sahib's taking care of you.
ਯਾਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜੇ ਤੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰੇਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਜੇ ਤੂੰ
Yeah.
ਕੋਈ ਐਫਰਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਿਉਂ ਦੇਵਾਂ
Yeah.
ਹਨਾ
Yeah.
so I think that's what Guru Nanak Dev Ji said like same the basic principles is right there
Right there.
we just gotta do it and we forget like I definitely forget, like the basic principles, and I need to know that okay, ਉੱਥੇ basic principles ਤੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਤੇ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਪਾਠ ਤੇ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ।
Yeah, even
ਜੇ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ
I.
ਕਰਾਂਗੇ
I've come here, and I'd say, because life is so fast paced in this country, or countries where, where it's not India. Let's just say that India is a very convenient country. India,
you're right
it's very convenient. You come home, you have house helps, everything is done. Here, everything's on
ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ
the go.
5 ਮਿੰਟ ਦੀ ਦੂਰੀ
5 minute
ਤੋਂ
dur.
ਹੈ
My Gurudwara, our Gurudwara was like in our society where we used to live. So it's not even, it's like, you don't, and even then, making an effort to go is something that comes from you, I'd say. Like, I have seen people who go to Guru Ghar, like adha ਘੰਟਾ ਦੂਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ name, like ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਾਣਾ. But there are people who are staying in the same society but still wouldn't.
when I used to live in India, I'm from Amritsar, right?
Ah,
They मैं ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ you get your neighbors are like your family in India.
yeah,
Basically, you know everything about them. And then मैं देखती ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀ कि there was like auntie ji, she used to go every single day 4 ਵਜੇ ਗੋਲਡਨ ਟੈਂਪਲ
yeah.
ਉੱਠ ਕੇ ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਜਿੱਥੋਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਘਰ ਸੀਗਾ ਉੱਥੇ 45 ਮਿੰਟਸ ਦੀ ਡਰਾਈਵ ਸੀਗੀ
Wow. So,
45 every single day ਸਵੇਰੇ 4 ਵਜੇ ਉੱਠ ਕੇ ਜਾਣਾ
wow.
ਐਂਡ that's I think ਉਹ ਰੱਬ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਹੀ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ
Yeah. And I
ਉਹ ਰੱਬ ਹੀ
think,
ਕਰਾਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ so can you tell us a little bit about like how as a couple you should make an effort to follow Sikhi then instill those things in your kids like if one is lacking one is not
I think that's always going to be there. It's never going to be 50-50. But that's what being married means. Sometimes, people say that it's a 50-50 effort. It's never that. Life is not that constant. It's sometimes it's a 70-30 effort. I'm putting 70, he's putting 30. Sometimes it's a 20-80 effort. I'm putting only 20, he's putting 80. I think just to understand and give each other that responsibility, although you are responsible for yourself first. I feel that it has to be very personal. You have to be responsible for yourself. You can't depend on the other person. But if you're in a marriage, that's like ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਵੀ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਧਨ ਪਿਰ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਆਖਿਆਨ ਬੈਨ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋਏ ਏਕ ਜੋਤ ਦੋਏ ਮੂਰਤੀ ਧਨ ਪਿਰ ਕਹੀਏ ਸੋਏ. That when you're not just mere husband and wife if you're sitting right next to each other just because you're married. You're that if you have the same thought process. You're two bodies but one soul. That's a very big thing. I don't know, a lot of people might not even reach that, and they're gone from this world. That relationship with their spouse. Why is it considered so pious in Sikhism also? Is because that a relationship with your spouse is something that's going to go for life. You outgrow your parents, they leave this world. Your kids outgrow you, they live with you for like 18 years, 20 years, they're out. But a life partner is, in literal sense, a life partner. So to choose that person who understands the basic, like, if you don't get me, if you don't get the values that I live for, it's very difficult, to continue life with you. But I think, again, even though personally you should work on yourself, but in a marriage, that is something that you need to work with the other person, telling them that this is a partnership, and I'm going to be lazy, and I am actually lazy, like in real life.
me too
So But I know like he's very uddami. And sometimes he gets lazy in certain things and I have to be very uddami, like, because it's it's how life is. Like we are so busy on weekends, we have to do kar de kam, bar de kam and all that. Sometimes there's a kirtan, we both are feeling like, let's not go. Like Sundays are something that we always go. But if it's a samagam, sometimes I will tell him like, koi nahi, like push yourself. Adhe घंटे चा जाएंगे. It's like, doing that udam and checking up on yourself. That's very important. Like check up on yourself, like each other, like every month, that did we lack too much? Like did we lazy ourselves too much out that, oh, I'm not gonna go to Guru Karan. We are tired. It happens. But then checking up on each other is something I say that in general, also with pushing ourselves into Sikhism, yes, but in general life also, there are things that I get too lazy about it. And he's like, no, please do it. You have the capability to do it. Do it, do it, do it. He gets on my nerves, like, karna, 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 fatafat karna. And I am a very deep sleeper. He's not. Like, he's been like that. He wakes up 4 a.m. and I cannot. And then he pushes me, like he wouldn't be like on to, because you don't want to scare the other person. He wouldn't be like, why are you not waking up, wake up at 5. Never like that. You'll see like a week I'm not waking up like 6 a.m. or whatever, then I'm like, let's just try, you know let's just try. It's just every relationship, it's a try. You're just trying to do better every day for yourself and for your kids. And especially in this country, we feel like we have a gurukar near us. We hardly go there because we go to a different gurukar that's like 40 minutes away from us. But they have classes.
Is it in Queens?
It's in Queens. Yeah, it's Flushing, because that's where they've been going for all their life. And Othe Babaji Nal, because he does tabla seva, so we have to go there.
What is, I forgot the name.
Flushing, Six Center. Yeah,
Six Central. I need to go there. I lived in Long Island, and
Eleanor.
ਉੱਥੇ ਇੱਕ ਨਵਾਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਖੋਲਿਆ ਹੈ,
Yeah,
ਸ਼ਹੀਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ.
yeah,
The energy over there
yeah,
is so good. Like you feel
yeah,
the power, the energy of the
yeah.
Sangat. It's
It's
beautiful.
yeah. Even the one that is near our place, New Hyde Park, I think. Utthe bhi nawa Gurukar khulya. And the best thing about that Gurukar is they have classes for children. They have
Yes.
Punjabi classes, Kirtan classes. So I think that's good. These things, these Uprala, whoever is doing it, kudos, because we're gonna need that. Probably when we have kids, we're gonna be so busy in our lives. But obviously, education comes from home. You have to teach them. If you just depend on like the guru car doing all the job, it's not going to work. You have to do it from your home. You have to teach them how things are, and that's when they go there and they learn more about Sikhism. But then first you have to do that yourself. Do that yourself, because I feel like if I'm on phone all the time, that's my kids gonna be on the phone all the time. So to understand the responsibility, I would say that you're raising a person who have no knowledge of what's going on in this world. So whatever you tell them, whatever you teach them, is what makes their life. Like, if my parents had been ignorant, I would have turned up very differently. But I think that's also, I
They
mean,
did a really good job.
yeah,
Really good job.
yeah, I think so. They did a really good job. But also, it is Maharaj's Bakshish. I have seen a lot of people who are not from families, who are religious, who are not from families that follow, but just out of curiosity, they started, like a kid started going to Gurukar, just, and he's reached a level which the parents could never think of or could never even want to.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's all Marad's blessings also of what he has thought of you. And I feel like being grateful of we should always be very grateful of what we are, of what we have become, uh, because that paves the path for our future as well. Sometimes we feel like, oh, like we've done so much in life. Wow, that's amazing. But it's all his.
बाबा जी दे बख्शिश है.
Yeah.